So we're going to open up with the NFL, Rob. And there was recently a survey, I guess. NFL.com did a survey. Tom Pelissaro, the NFL.com reporter, 26 high-ranking executives, 15 of them general managers. And he asked them anonymously to vote for the MVP. 16 of them, obviously a majority, voted for Patrick Mahomes, and 6.5, I don't know what the half was, but 6.5 picked either Jalen Hurts, 6.5 picked Jalen Hurts, 2 picked Josh Allen, 1 picked Joe Burrow, and a half picked Justin Jefferson. Obviously, Jalen Hurts missing this game.
I think that's a week and a half for Jefferson. Just either you vote for him or you don't.
Yeah, that was it. I mean, obviously, I guess one person picked 2 guys.
Right. Pick a guy. Is it that hard to pick a guy, Chris?
Yeah. So anyway, Rob, what do you look? I'll say this quickly. I do think Patrick Mahomes is going to win the award, and I think with Jalen Hurts missing, the next game or two, that Mahomes should win the award. But I'm saying that, look, if Mahomes goes out and has a clunker or two, say it has a 4-interception game, then a mediocre game, then a great game, and Josh Allen and Joe Burrow are spectacular down the, stretch, I think one of them could pass him. I don't expect Mahomes to do that, though. So I do, Rob. I think Patrick Mahomes is going to win his second MVP this year.
Yeah, I don't think it's as big of a gap as the execs. I think sometimes you got to remember, Chris, that the execs aren't the guys voting.
Right.
And I think that's the biggest mistake people make sometimes. If you remember, all the former players and people in the game were saying, who did I have on, Rob G, on the podcast? The Angels manager, my God, already, Joe Madden.
They were saying
that Ohtani was the MVP. Like they were looking at me like sideways.
Right.
Like Judge isn't winning the MVP. I mean, look at what Ohtani's doing. Look at his pitching. He won it last year, Chris. CeCe Sabathia. You remember everybody came out. Not everybody, but a lot.
I think said he should win it
every year, and that was J.D. Martinez and a couple others, and it didn't happen. And it wasn't even close because I think you're right. I think that you have those executives have a lot of respect for what Mahomes has done, and he has played well, and he's in the conversation.
But the conversation?
Yeah,
you don't think he's leading the conversation?
No, not
really.
Yeah,
I mean, now that Hurts is kind of out. Let's
No, not. I don't know. Like, if the judging for me was ending today and he doesn't play another game and nobody plays another game, I would pick Jalen Hurts.
No, that's fine. But we know Hurts is going to miss this game, and so I think. Would you admit it's close between Hurts and Mahomes?
Yeah, no, that's what I said.
Okay, so if it's that close, I do think Hurts missing this game puts Mahomes over the top.
Yeah, but if Mahomes plays and plays poorly and they lose, I'm not so sure. And I think
you think Hurts could still win even missing a game?
I just have to see if he misses one game, two. If he misses 2 or 3, then no. I think that'll hurt him. But it also depends on where Joe Burrow, who just had 4 touchdowns last week, what he does, and if they win out and start 0-2, and then he wins and then throws, 12 or 13 touchdowns in the last 3 weeks, and they win all the games or whatever it is, I think there's a chance that he can be beaten, and it might not be Jalen Hurts.
I think the gap is significant. Again, I'm kind of taking Hurts out because of the injury, but I think the gap between Mahomes and Allen and Burrow is significant. Significant enough where if Mahomes, he has to really struggle over the next few games not to win the award, but that is possible. I mean, and I think the thing, Rob, that helps Burrow and Allen is that they have tougher schedules down the stretch.
Right.
So they actually play each other. And this is the thing. Pick whichever one. If Burrow comes out and they beat Buffalo on I think that's a Sunday night game.
And he's spectacular.
And he's lights out, right? Spectacular. And then plays well in the other games. Maybe they went out. Then he's going to have, if Mahomes struggles,
right.
He's going to have a great argument.
This is all, if Mahomes plays well, then it's a different story.
He'll win it.
But I want to give you this, Chris, and this is why I think your skepticism that it's in the bag is legit. That it's not in the bag. Back in 2021, Brady was leading until week 15. You remember this. And then he went 26 for 48, no touchdowns and a pick, and they had a bad shutout loss to the Saints. Do you remember that?
Yep.
And then in that same week, right, Rodgers went 24 for 34, 3 touchdowns, no picks, Chris, in a win against Cleveland. And that turned the whole – do you remember that?
Yeah.
Brady was in the lead going into that week. And that was late. That's week 15.
It's somewhat, you're right. That's even later than we're at now.
Where we at now, right?
Because it was only 16 games at that point. I think, Rob, that it's somewhat, whether you like it or not, somewhat like college football, right? If a team loses early,
you could get over it.
It's not as bad as losing late.
Exactly, because it just feels bad when you lose late, Chris, and that's what people remember.
Yep.
And the same thing like with that Brady. Brady, that season in 15, was having that year. He had a terrible game against the Saints. They got shut out, no touchdowns, a pick, and then Rodgers had the big day against the Browns, and that turned the tide, and that was it.
Yeah. So, look, again, I do think Mahomes will end up winning it. Their upcoming games, Kansas City, Rob, I mean, they should win out. They've got Seattle, Denver, and the Raiders. Now, the Raiders may be playing for a playoff spot. Seattle obviously is playing for a playoff spot. And the Chiefs have been winning. They lost 3 weeks ago to the Bengals, but outside of that, they've won 7 of their last 8. Including that, they've won 7 out of their last 8. So maybe they drop one of those. And that, Rob, a loss, a mediocre performance by Mahomes could hurt him. Buffalo, Rob, I mentioned that they play Cincinnati. They play the Bears this weekend, then Cincinnati, and then New England. So a big game against Burrow in a win. If Allen is, say, as spectacular as he was Saturday night against Miami, and then you beat Belichick when Belichick may be playing, for a playoff spot, that would be big if he's spectacular.
No, right.
Right? And then the Bengals, Rob, have the toughest schedule, which could help Burrow.
Right.
They got Belichick and the Patriots this weekend. Then they got Buffalo, as I mentioned. And then they've got Baltimore. You would think if he's coming back, Lamar will be back at that point.
Right.
And it could be for the division title.
Yeah, so he's got bigger games. And if Mahomes has a weaker schedule, and if he struggles like Chris, they struggle with the Texans. And what was the other game where they were leading 27-0 or whatever it was? And what was that?
Denver.
Denver. And then he had the 3 picks in that game. Like that looks bad if there's a struggle against a bad team or a loss mixed in there. So, I mean, obviously he's neck and neck. He has the advantage that he gets to play, and Hurts doesn't. But there are 2 other guys who could emerge, and we've seen late turnarounds in the MVP race.
Right.